You might think that getting into PC gaming requires tons of technical knowledge and expensive top-of-the-line hardware, but in this video, I'm going to show you how you can build your very own AAA capable gaming PC for $150. Normally, you would buy a pre-built PC with the parts put together for you, which is way too expensive, or buy individual components to assemble yourself, which is better value, but nowhere near $150 value. So how are we going to do this? Get creative. This is the Dell Optiplex 3040 SFF. Wow! Refurbished office machines like these are cheap powerhouses, containing almost all the parts we need in one go. I spent $90 on mine, and that's actually overpaying. The average one of these is closer to $60. A popular option is the GT1030 from Nvidia, as it's readily available and you can even pick it up in stores. But it's not the best in terms of price to performance. Instead, I'm going with the RX 550 from AMD for $40. It's a downright criminal deal for what you get. There are plenty of other options for graphics cards out there though. Just make sure to double check the dimensions on your card of choice if you're working with a small form factor machine. SATA SSDs are dirt cheap, so I chose a 256GB SSD from TimeTech for $20. If you want a faster SSD, look at options from Samsung or Crucial with a DRAM cache.
SSD.
First, we'll unplug the cables connected to the hard drive and remove the drive mount from the case. Next, we'll unscrew the hard drive from the mount so we can screw in our SSD. After putting the drive mount back in, we can plug the cables into the newly attached SSD. Find a slot that's this big, and remove the cover protecting it. The graphics card inserts into the slot with the video ports facing the outside of the computer. If you've done it right, the metal extrusion on the top of the card should rest neatly next to the other slot covers. Unfortunately, brand new SSDs don't come with Windows pre-installed, so you'll need to ask a friend if you can use their computer to flash a removable hard drive with the Windows installer. If all else fails, you can put your new computer's old hard drive back in temporarily to do it. I'll link a guide on how to create installation media in the description. It's way too long and complicated for this section that was only supposed to be like a minute long. Starting off with Team Fortress 2, this game is a piece of cake, easily hitting 120 frames per second with the graphics maxed. I will, however, note an odd glitch where the game would crash if I turn the graphics down. I guess this PC only wants to aim for the best. Minecraft's performance is by far the best, hitting 90 frames per second with max graphics and an eye-watering 165 frames per second at low graphics. Fall Guys brings a decent 40 frames per second at max graphics, but if performance is what you're looking for, it gets 90 frames per second at low graphics no problem. Rocket League actually performed better than I expected. It gets 70 frames per second at max graphics, and a buttery smooth 110 frames per second at low graphics. Running in performance mode, Fortnite is a bit of a struggle for the PC. With the graphics as high as performance mode will go, we're treated to a somewhat stuttery 60 frames per second. Lowering the graphics down smooths out the stutters, but doesn't do much for frames per second, only increasing to 70. Ryujinx, a Nintendo Switch emulator, appeared to be a similar story at first, suffering ridiculous stuttering from the computer's processor having to compile the game's shaders in real time. But it turned out to be easily remedied by downloading shaders from the internet, and it was right back to a smooth, stutter-free 60 frames per second. Call of Duty, the final test, is definitely where the system starts to reach its limits. To even get it to run, I had to set the render scale to 50% and use AMD's goofy AI magic. Once you accept these harsh compromises, you're rewarded with, I refrain from saying playable, it's more like barely passable, and the entire play experience is riddled with stutters. At least the shaders loaded faster. Overall, I would say the in-game performance was pretty stunning. You can't just end the video like that. You haven't even explained. I mean, why am I even going through all this building and part searching for a PC in the first place instead of just getting a console? For a little bit extra, I could just buy a Switch or PS4 or something to play all my games on, and everything would be set up for me without having to worry about whether all my games will run or fixing it if something breaks. Do you value freedom or convenience? Freedom, I guess? But what does that have to do with anything? It's true that if you go out and buy a console right now, it would probably play all the games you wanted to right out of the box with no setup. But everything has a price. Is it worth paying a monthly subscription for online play? Is it worth having to buy a new console every few years just to play the latest exclusives? And is it worth a company being able to take away your games whenever they want with no way to get them back? Please. They're my games I paid for with my hard-earned money. I wish it were so, dear viewer. Any content you purchase on a console is actually rented to you under an end-user license agreement. And that agreement allows the company you bought the content from to revoke your access to it at any time. It's not just a hypothetical though. Sony has actually tried to delete people's content on a massive scale before. In 2023, they were going to remove hundreds of shows that users had already bought on their PlayStations because of a licensing issue with Discovery, and the only reason they didn't go through with it was because of the amount of backlash they received. You finally know the how and the why, but you might still have some questions, so I'll try to answer the most common ones.
Number 1.
Doesn't the computer need a monitor and peripherals? A console doesn't come with a monitor either, unless it's a handheld. And PC is the only platform where you can get a controller for it for under $10.
Number 2.
What if I'm switching over from a console to a PC? Won't I have to rebuy all my games? Not necessarily. If you're switching over from Xbox, some games will allow you to transfer them to your PC, and others will let you play them through cloud streaming. In the case of the Nintendo Switch, you can rip all the games you own using your Switch and emulate them on your PC. Even if your games don't transfer, you can expect to pay less than half of the price you do for console versions of games.
Number 3.
What if something breaks and I don't know how to fix it? That's actually one of the benefits of PC gaming. If something does go wrong, you don't have to send it back to the manufacturer to get it fixed. There are hundreds of guides right here on YouTube that will show you exactly how to pinpoint the problem and fix it, more often than not for free.
Number 4.
How do I upgrade this thing?
That's the neat thing. You don't.
Well, you can, but your options are pretty limited. One of the concessions I had to make to fit the budget was to opt for the cheapest viable components, one of which happened to be a small form factor proprietary office machine. For a beginner who's not on such a tight budget, buying the parts to assemble a standard ATX size PC would probably be the best choice. I hope this video helped you out, and if you still have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try my best to get to them. Consider leaving a like and subscribe. Hey! Where the heck have you been? Making this video like you asked me to? Do you want quality or not? I asked you to make a video, not take a leave of absence for 3 months. Your views have been spiraling downward ever since you left. Honestly, I'm surprised anybody watched my stupid videos to begin with. But as long as they are, I want to make sure I'm posting actual quality stuff that's worth watching. Yeah, whatever. But you better not take this long on a video ever again, or I'm never recommending you and never giving you an AdSense check worth any meaningful amount. Hey, sorry for the robot-sounding audio quality, but I just want to thank you for making it to the end of the video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. For those of you who've been wondering, yes, this is what I've been working on for the past 3 months, just leveling up my editing skills so I can make this worth the 3-month wait. More quality stuff is on the way, I can assure you that. I've had so much fun working on this project, and I cannot wait to make more. So if you're looking forward to what I make next, then I must ask you...